All right, Brent Porcio, TopVelocity.net. We're going to do a pitching analysis here. A Nicholas, pair him up with Bob Wheatley. Okay, Bob is around 6'4", 235. So we'll come out of leg lift. Both guys. You can see Bob's picking up more momentum out of leg lift. You can see him really starting to build momentum early. It's going to help him a lot, specifically with his big mass. You can see he also wants to open a little early, but so therefore he gets down the mound as quick as he can. You can see here too, he's keeping his trunk a little bit more vertical. You're starting to lean hard back. It looks like you might even be leaning over your toes. The challenge is we want the trunk to go forward at front foot strike. We don't want it to pull off glove side. So a lot of times when we lean over our feet, we typically want to pull back across our bodies. If we lean too far back, a lot of times too, hits into range of the hips and we collapse the back leg, which you can see as you're driving, you're starting to lose a little bit of your torsion. And you can see here when Bob's starting to drive, he has a little bit more torsion than you because of that. So also here, as Bob's going into that back leg drive, notice how he cocks and loads the scap against it. As you're going into your back leg drive, I'd say you're doing the same too. It's just because you're trying to get your trunk back to a more vertical position, it cuts it off a little bit. I would say Bob's a little more counter-rotated at this point. And then into front foot strike, you can see Bob gets the hips open and keeps the shoulders closed. We can take you into front foot strike. You get your hips open, and the only thing is your shoulders are a little bit more open. So you can see Bob's not fully tucked the glove side. You've fully tucked the glove side. The more your trunk is starting to open to the target. So it could have been you in that ipsilateral position when you were leaning over your toes, pulling to your glove side, caused the early trunk rotation. And then when your arm lays back, you can see Bob's getting more forward trunk tilts here. So he's getting more energy in his trunk already. Also, that's a product of how well he was moving off out of his leg lifts. So you can see you're a little bit more vertical. And then even into pitch release, Bob's more forward at pitch release than you. You see a significantly more forward tilt. So trunk's the biggest predictor of velocity. And you can see he's done a better job of really driving his trunk, even the front leg extending, which supports that trunk and that energy going forward. So going back, it's correcting the ipsilateral position where you're leaning over your toes, getting your trunk more vertical like Bob. Don't lean so far back to the rubber. Hold torsion longer. Try to get more power through the hips and keep the trunk more contralateral back towards the glove side of front foot, so you're not early trunk rotating as much here. And then ultimately, also too, getting that more momentum carries more power, and then you get more power through your trunk.